students. I am Anuradha from Adult Progressive School, your biology teacher. Welcomes you all in today's session that is about the biology. Okay, so in ninth grade you must have done what is biology. Okay, from ninth onwards you are studying science in three parts: physics, chemistry, and biology. So here we are dealing with what? We are dealing with the living organisms. Why? Because biology is nothing. It is made up of two components, or it is made up of two words, bio and logy. If I will write it here like this, bio plus logy. Bio means everything which comes under the living ones, and logy means to study. Okay, so here we are going to study about the living organisms. It can be plants, it can be animals, or it can be human beings, right? So here in your grade, the first chapter is life processes. Okay, life processes. If I will split these two terms, what do you understand by life? Something which is alive. It is known as life. Okay, and process means that what are the things, what are the processes they are going to happen in the living organisms. Okay, so these life processes are very important for any organisms which is living one. Okay, why? Because it is maintaining the whole processes. For example, you can relate it with human beings very easily. You will study these processes in all the forms, but if I will relate this thing in human beings, okay, in your body so many processes are happening. Like you are eating the food, okay, nutrition, you are respiring also, right? And whatever the food you are taking, it should be transported all over your body under the transportation. Then the byproduct which are forming, it should be excreted out, right? So it comes under the excretion. So likewise, in your body also, we are having different processes inside the organisms. Okay, so here one by one we will start this chapter, right? So if I will start with very basic or with the introductory part, and if you will go through your NCERT, right? In your NCERT, so many examples are given. Like if I will talk about the dogs, if I will talk about the human beings, or about the cow, right? So dogs they are running, okay? Human beings, they are shouting. If I will talk about the cows, they are chewing. So what they are doing? They are showing some movement. Okay, what they are doing? They are showing some movement, and on this basis you are categorizing that whether something is alive or something is not alive, right? But this is not the only criteria. If I will move further, there are some more examples. Like if I will talk about the plants, right? In case of plants, some we are having green plants and some are non-green plants. So if you will see the green plants, what is your opinion? That yes, it is the living one, it is alive. So what about those non-green plants or non-green leaves? These are not the alive? No, these are also alive. So here we cannot say on the basis of their movement, on the basis of this thing, we can define the living or non-living. Okay. So whatever it is happening in our body, whatever it is happening in our body, in the living organisms, so we have to study that one also to understand it properly, right? So if we will move further, some more examples are given. Like the first thing which we said, movement. Movement is what? Movement of something which is moving. For example, if I will take this pen, okay, it is non-living for us. So in your previous grade, you must have done that if something is moving from one place to another place by its own, it is living, and if it is not moving, then it is non-living. So here we can say this marker is what? It is non-living, right? But some of the organisms in this environment, these are not showing any movement, okay? But if you will see with the microscopic or with your naked eyes, you cannot observe that much movement. For example, if I will talk about some plants, the growth of the plant is not that much, okay, because it takes place after some intervals. Likewise, there are some animals which cannot move, they can stick at one places, okay. So but still they are respiring, right? So we can say that if I will talk here in this grade about the movement, yes, movement is a criteria, but we cannot say movement is only the criteria, right? Because we are having so many exceptions. Examples, we can say that about the viruses. Are these viruses living or non-living? Still it's a controversy. Okay, that whether viruses are living or non-living. It means that viruses, they are living when they are entering into the host body. Otherwise they are non-living, right? So we can say that this again movement is there, but what type of movement which cannot be visible with your eyes? Okay, still movement is there, right? Like phase, right now I have given example that if someone is shouting, dog is running, cow is chewing, so when they are awakened, you can see that it is living. But what about when they get what sleep? Okay, during the sleeping hours, what you can say, you will observe that whether they are respiring or not. On the basis of respiration, you will check the breathing rate. Okay, if they are breathing, it means that yes, it is living, right? So we are having different forms in which we are deciding that where something is living or non-living. Again, if you will move further in your NCERT, some more examples are given. Okay, so now third one is the molecular movement. Why I have written specifically molecular movement? See that in your ninth grade you must have done about the organization, that hierarchy. Okay, it starts from where? It starts from very basic cell. Okay, cell when it will form, or when there will be a group of cells, what they are forming? They are forming tissues, and group of tissue they are forming organs, and group of organ system, and this organ system, it will form the organisms. Okay, this is the living organisms. So what is happening, that whatever the activity it is going to take place, it is going to take place inside this cell. Okay, and then after all the processes is happening here in different organs of our body, and when they are coordinating with each other, they are forming the life processes. Okay, so these are the molecular movements which happens here inside the cells, and during this movement we can say yes, that this molecular movement is very essential. Why? Because if there will be molecular movement, then there will be a proper maintenance of these cells. Okay, it keeps on changing, it keeps on repairing the cells. If there will be stoppage, okay, if there will be stop of any form here, we cannot say that process will goes on. Example, if I will talk about that you are having a food, but your body will not be able to digest it, or your body will not able to respire properly and not able to break down the food and can't convert into energy, then what is the use? Okay, so for our body or for the living organism, all the processes should be in a coordinated form. It means that they should be in a helping form. Okay, one another, they are helping to each other, and ultimately the whole goal will be get accomplished, right? So here what we have understood, that there must be a molecular movement, and this molecular movement should be followed in a sequential manner, right? Then comes to the main topic, that is life processes. So here, as I have said, that all the processes, okay, all the processes which is required by the body, okay, which is required by the body to sustain a life. Okay, if we have to live in this world, there must be a proper processes in our body. Okay, so here we will understand that what are these processes and how it is forming. For the proper molecular movement, what is required? Some energy is required. Okay, so that energy will come from where? That energy will come from the outward source, and you are dependent, or something which need energy, they are dependent on the food sources. So we can say that for dependency of this food sources, we will study under the first life process, that is nutrition. So under the nutrition, we will study that how we are taking that food sources, what does it contain, right? Then comes to the respiration. Whatever the food we are taking, or whatever the food has been taken place, it should be breakdown, because when you will get the energy, when there will be breakdown of that particular food. So that food will provide energy, and ultimately that nutrients, it should be transported throughout the body. So there must be a transportation also. Okay, because whatever the food you are having, so it should be moved through the blood throughout your body. Okay, so there must be a transportation, and during all these processes they will form some byproduct, and these byproducts, they are harmful for the body. So it is required that it should be removed out from the body. So there must be a excretion system also. So combinedly we can say that in this chapter majorly we will discuss about all these four processes, and what is the ultimate aim? To get the energy for the proper molecular movement, so that there must be a repairment of the cells. It keeps on working, right? So there is one question in your NCERT also: what process would you consider essential for maintaining life, right? So right now we have discussed that what is required for our body, the processes, all these processes are required for our body. For what? For maintaining the life, to sustain the life. So what will be your answer? That all these activities which are required by the body to sustain a life, these are nutrition, respiration, then comes to the transportation, then excretion. Okay, so these are the things here we have to discuss in a detailed form. Okay, so here I have mentioned definition of life processes, that all the processes taking place in the body of living organisms that are essential for the survival. If there will be no life processes, then there will be no survival of an organisms, right? Now comes to the next one, that is nutrition. Here what do you understand by the nutrition? Okay, nutrition means that whatever the food we are taking, okay, we all require the food, whatever the food we are taking, it should contain some nutrients. And what is that nutrients? These nutrients are the substances which contains all the essential things, like it should contain carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals. Okay, so these all are combining, all these are forming what? These are forming the nutrients, right? So we can say that there must be a proper nutrients in our diet, and through the nutrition, which means that intake of food. What do you understand by nutrition? That whatever food you are taking inside your mouth, it is known as nutrition. So what you are taking? You are taking the nutrients, and these nutrients must contain all the essential things, and as well as the food which you are eating, it should be utilized by the body also. It doesn't mean that you have taken the food but your body will not be able to utilize it. So what is the use? Okay, so there must be a utilization also. So 2 points I have mentioned here, that intake of nutrients as well as their utilization in our body. For what? For getting the energy. Why we are taking this nutrition? For getting the energy. And due to this energy, what will happen? There will be growth, repairment, as well as the maintenance of our cell, as well as to the whole organisms, right? So we can say that there must be a proper growth, repair and maintenance, and keeps on working in our body, right? So this is the nutrition, and what is the purpose of this nutrition? To get energy from the food sources, right? Now, how the nutrition can be taken place? So we are having majorly two mode of nutrition. Next topic is what? Modes of nutrition. How any organisms can take the nutrition. So we have categorized into two parts. What are they? Autotrophic mode of nutrition as well as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay. So let's start with the first type of autotrophic. Auto means what? Auto means self. Okay. If I will split the autotrophic, it means that self. And what do you have autotrophic? It means that about the nourishment. Okay. So whenever the organisms, they are taking the nourishment or nutrition from the cell. Okay. It means that they are preparing its own food. So it comes under the autotrophic mode of nutrition. And most of the plants, they follow what type of mode of nutrition? Autotrophic mode of nutrition, right? So we can say autotrophic mode of nutrition. Examples are green plants as well as blue-green algae. Then comes to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So now comes to here to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we are having two terms. What are they? Hetero means others and trophic means that nourishment or the nutrition. Whenever the organism take their nourishment from the other living organisms, they are known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So on that basis, we have categorized this heterotrophic mode of nutrition into three parts. What are they? The first one is saprophytic mode of nutrition, second one parasitic mode of nutrition, and the third one is holozoic mode of nutrition. So what do you understand by the saprophytic mode of nutrition? The nutrition in which what happens that they are dependent on the dead and decaying organisms. Okay, so they are taking their nutrition from the dead and decaying one, and this is known as saprophytic, and examples are fungi. Right? Then comes to the parasitic mode of nutrition. In this type of nutrition, the organisms, they are taking their nutrition from the host cell. Okay, and the thing which are attacking to the host cell, they are known as parasites. So two terms are there. Parasites are those ones which are attacking to the host, and host, they get affected by the parasites. So what are they? Parasitic, parasites as well as the host cell. Example is cuscuta. It is also known as amarbead. So this what it is doing. For example, if it is a tree, okay, if it is a tree, so this cuscuta vine, it will surround itself to the tree, and there it takes nutrition, and ultimately the plant get affected. So we can say that they are taking their nutrition from the other one. Same like we can quote the example plasmodium. Okay, plasmodium is also the parasitic, as well as some more we can define example here like tapeworm, roundworm, which is present inside the body. So these are also the parasites. What they are doing, they are taking the nourishment from the body. Okay, so if I will categorize some more parasitic mode of nutrition, there are two types of parasitic mode of nutrition, that is ectoparasite and endoparasites. Right? So the parasites, those organisms or the parasite which are attacking to the outside to the body, means that they are present outside the body, they are known as ectoparasite, and those parasites which are present inside the body, they are known as endoparasites. Right? So what can be the example of ectoparasites? Like lices, ticks. Okay, so they are present outside the body. And what do you understand by the endo? Example can be the roundworm, tapeworm, all these are present inside the body. Okay, so parasitic mode of nutrition is what? Which are dependent on the others, and they are affecting the host body and taking the nutrition. Okay, now comes to the holozoic mode of nutrition. Holozoic mode of nutrition, again it is very important, because in the whole chapter we will focus in this holozoic mode of nutrition, and very good example can be human beings. Okay, so what do you understand by holozoic mode of nutrition? It means that whenever we are taking the food as a whole, okay, we are taking the chapati, or whenever we are taking the complex food material, and inside our body we are breaking down into the simpler form, it comes under the holozoic mode of nutrition. So in holozoic mode of nutrition, what is happening? The food is taken through the mouth and it will get digested inside the body. Okay, and here example, one more example, that is amoeba. So we will study in detail about the nutrition in human beings as well as nutrition in amoeba. Okay. So here we have completed introductory part of the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, right? So now comes to the another topic which is very important about the autotrophic nutrition. So here we have discussed that autotrophic mode of nutrition is nothing. It is the photosynthesis which takes place in case of plants, right? So what are the different steps in this photosynthesis, right? So here the first thing, we have to understand what is the basic requirement for the photosynthesis. We all know about this. Okay, so the basic requirement for the photosynthesis is what? Carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. Okay, these are the basic requirement for happening this photosynthesis. Okay, so now how the plant, they are utilizing all these things and forming the food for the plants. Okay, so what is the food here which is going to prepare? Glucose. And here the plants, they are storing their food in which form? In form of starch. So starch is what? Starch is a complex food material which will be formed with the help of glucose molecules, right? So if I will talk about the basic equation of this photosynthesis, which is going to be very important. Okay, so what is that equation? That carbon dioxide, water, when they are combining with each other in presence of chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll is that pigment which is present inside the plant cells, right? And this chlorophyll is responsible for imparting green color also, right? So this chlorophyll, what it is doing? It is trapping the light which is coming from the sun. Okay, so in the presence of sunlight, this chlorophyll will become activate and it will convert this one into the glucose, and glucose is what? C6H12O6, and along with this there will be release of oxygen as well as water molecule, and this oxygen is important for us because we are taking oxygen from the plants. Okay, this oxygen will become byproduct for the plants. Okay, and whatever the CO2 we are releasing, it will be utilized by the plants, right? So we can say that CO2 is required for the formation or the photosynthesis of glucose molecule, right? So how all these steps will take place? Because it will not take place in a single step. Okay, so there are different steps. On the basis of that, it will convert into glucose. So this part is very important, that what are the different steps which are involved in the photosynthesis, right? So the first step is what? Absorption. Absorption of what? Absorption of light. And what is that light? The light which is coming from the sun. Okay, so that light which is coming from the sun, it should get absorbed by the plants. And who will absorb? The chlorophyll pigment. The chlorophyll pigment which is present in the plant cell, it will absorb that light energy, and in the second step, it will convert this light energy into the chemical energy. How? Because you can see that in starting we are having light energy. So here this light energy will convert it into the chemical energy. Okay, and during this chemical process, what we are getting? We are getting the glucose molecule. So what exactly it is happening here? This light energy will get converted into the chemical energy. Okay, along with this, what is going to happen here? There will be splitting of water. Why splitting of water? As I have said, CO2 is required by the plants. Okay, and this water is also required, and from where water is getting? From the water which we are providing to the plants. Okay, the water which we are providing to the plants, it should get break down. Okay, due to the presence of the sunlight and this chlorophyll molecule, what it is going to happen? It will break this water molecule. Okay, when the water molecule will break down, what it will form? It will give hydrogen plus oxygen. Okay, what is it is giving hydrogen and oxygen. So second step is what? In second step, the light energy will get converted into the chemical energy, as well as there will be splitting of this water molecule, and due to the splitting of water molecule, it will give hydrogen and oxygen. And the third step, what will happen? That this hydrogen molecule, okay, this hydrogen molecule will get attached with the CO2. Okay, and this CO2 is coming from where? From the outside sources. Okay, the CO2 is coming from where? From the outside sources of the plant. Okay, so for example, if I will draw that this is plant. Okay, this is plant, and outside the environment there is more and more CO2. Okay, so this CO2 get entered here in the plant cells, and the water which we are providing here, it is also there. So in the presence of sunlight, the water will get break down, okay, inside the cells, and this H2 and O2, okay, this will release H2 and O2, and this H2 will get combined with CO2 in this plant cells. Okay, what is going to happen in the third step? That this hydrogen molecule will combine with CO2, and what they will form? They will form the glucose molecule, that is C6H12O6. So we can say that reduction of CO2. So what do you understand by reduction? Whenever we are adding hydrogen molecule to something, so this is known as what? Reduction. So what exactly we are doing here? The hydrogen we are getting in the second step, we are combining with CO2. So we are reducing to what? We are reduction of CO2. Okay, so there will be reduction of CO2. Why reduction of CO2? Because we are adding the H2 in the CO2, and ultimately what we are getting here? We are getting carbohydrates, and carbohydrate is nothing, it is the C6H12O6, because the plants, they are storing their food material in which form? In form of starch here, and starch is also a form of carbohydrate. Okay, so here we can say that all about it. This is the photosynthesis. So if I will sum up it here, what I will say, there will be absorption of light energy, right? Due to this absorption, what will happen? There will be conversion of the light energy into the chemical energy. Due to this, there will be splitting of water molecule, and due to the splitting of water molecule, it will give water as give hydrogen or oxygen, and ultimately the third step, this hydrogen will combine with CO2 and get reduced, and during this reduction there will be formation of carbohydrates, that is glucose. Okay, so this is the whole process of the photosynthesis, which you have to understand in a good way. Okay, now the question arises that we have applied the oxygen and the CO2 which is coming from outside, so how it will get enter inside the plant cells. Okay, so this is also the question here. So if to make you understand here, I have drawn one structure here. This is what? This is the leaf. Okay, and we know that in the leaf we are having the plant cell. Okay, so if I will take the cross section of this leaf, if I will cut this section of this leaf, and I will see here, we all know that it is made up of some xylem and phloem, right? So xylem and phloem are also there. So we can say that if I will draw the basic structure or the cross section, what I will see here, there will be the upper layer as well as the lower layer, and between these two layers there are some chlorophyll content. Okay, so the upper part, it is made up of some epidermis, which is known as upper epidermis, and at the lower part also epidermis is present. Okay, so what is the function of epidermis? We can say it will act as a protective film. Okay, it will act as a protective film, and in this epidermis you can see that some waxy substances are present, which is known as waxy cuticle. And what is the role of this waxy cuticle? What is the role of this waxy cuticle? That if there will be any transpiration, it will check the transpiration rate. Okay, so this waxy cuticle, what it is doing in desert areas mostly, they are having the waxy cuticle, so the transpiration rate will get reduced due to it. Okay, and in between there are some air spaces as well as some cells are present, which is known as the plant cells, and in this plant cells we are having the chloroplast. Okay, in this chloroplast, what pigment it is present? Chlorophyll pigment. So these patches which you can see it here, these are nothing, these are what? These are the pigments. Okay, so these are what? These are the chlorophyll pigments, which is responsible for imparting the green color. Okay, and also they are useful for trapping the light from the sun, and due to this there will be a photosynthesis. So we can say it here, if we take the cross section, we can see these much layers in the leaves, and the function of that chloroplast which is present here, it is useful. Okay, now along with this they are having some stomata. Okay, if I will talk about the CO2 which is coming from the outside, it will enter with the help of the stomata. Okay, so in your book there is one diagram which is showing the stomata. Okay, so this stomata is what? This stomata is that due to which the CO2 can get inside the cell. So how? If there will be flow of water, okay, if there will be flow of water inside this one, what will happen? The guard cells, because these are what? These are the guard cells which will surround all this one, and these are what? Stomatal opening or the stomatal pore. So if there will be flow of water inside it, what will happen? It will become turgid, and due to this turgidity the water get enter inside it and it will get swollen up, and all the CO2 can get enter inside this cell. Okay, if I will talk about this reverse condition, in this case what will happen that this time if there will be no flow of water, it will become flaccid and there will be no entry of CO2 inside the stomata. Okay, so on the basis of this stomatal opening, we can say that there will be entry of CO2. Is it clear? So what exactly it is happening here, that stomata, they are playing very important role for entering the CO2 inside the plant cells, right? And this can be opening also as well as closing pore, dependent on the water flow inside this stomata. Okay, and these guard cells are again very important because they are responsible for opening and closing it. Okay, so today here we have completed about the nutrition in case of plants, right? So this is one of the organisms, one of the living organisms. In the next class or the next lectures, we will understand about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and we are having heterotrophic in case of amoeba as well as human beings. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.